Good evening, thank you for coming here tonight. Get a bit of feedback here. It's an unusual book launch. It was designed to basically be late at night so I can get all the business people in, and also to be in interesting surroundings where people can be relaxed. They can have their drinks and they can listen to live music, and they can also network as well. And they can hear me talk about my book. Now, what is my book? My book is filling a portion of the market which is not really covered by anything at the moment. It is designed for anybody to read it. It's very, very simple. It doesn't replace a lawyer, so thank God us lawyers are not going to be out of work. But what it does, it points you in the right direction. So there's so many things that can go wrong when you buy a property. There's so many aspects to it, from looking at title, from the searches, from the HIPS pack, which you get when you sell the property and the buyer looks at that, from covenants, easements. There's so many things that can take hours and hours to synthesize and go through and look, you need to look at. I haven't even covered in this book unregistered title, because that's really, there's only about 2% now in this country which is unregistered, that means no property is, it means a property which has not been registered with the land registry. So most property is now registered. So if you lose your title deeds, you can just give your address and you can phone up the land registry, and for £8 you get another set. So that's that. So this book deals with registered title, and it starts, it's only 5 chapters, but it starts very, very simply. I'm just going to go through it very, very briefly, and don't all fall asleep, because it is quite interesting. I'm trying to make it as engaging as possible. On the first page, you've got a lovely picture of a handsome young man. I don't know where he is tonight, but he might make an appearance later on. You never know. A bit further forward. Okay. Then, buying properties in difficult times. And let me tell you a bit about the background of the title. Why that title? Well, I was going to put buying properties in a recession. And the person I was bouncing the ideas back with said to me, well, the recession would be over in about 18 months. That was about 18 months ago. So maybe he was right. But nevertheless, difficult times covers everything, because even when you're coming out of a recession, or things are supposedly getting better, they're still difficult. There's always something that's late, making an entrance. Sorry, it's my time now, thank you. You can talk later. Right, so difficult times, there are always difficult times. I'm not trying to sound negative, because it is an insider's guide as well, so it gives you the ins and outs. Okay, so the first chapter gives you a basic rundown of what you need to look for. Let me just open the book, because I forgot what I wrote. It was about 6 months ago. So I talk about the contract. Now, a contract is something which you can have a contract for anything. Anything can be in a contract. The most important thing with a property is you have the property name, the title, the title number, and the contract rate, and the property you're buying. And what you basically have in there is everything you're going to do in the contract. You can even have, can you switch your phone off, please? Yeah. Thank you. You can have anything you want in there. You can even bake a cake in there. You can put anything you want in the special conditions. So that's the contract, and I'll tell you why we have a contract, and I'll talk you through that. The next section is about, what's the section there? What's the next section? Is the lease. Now, of course, a lease is another form of contract, actually, but whereas a contract is between me and you, a lease runs with the land. So it's a contract between the landlord and the tenant, and they can all change during the lifetime of the lease. But it's the same thing, it's a contract. And I talk to you about the peculiarities of the lease and the covenants and things you need in there by law now. Then the next section is raising inquiries, and this is what a lawyer does. A lawyer raises inquiries. That's what you pay him for. And chapter 3 talks all about the things that a lawyer raises. So if there's something that, if you're building over a right of way, which we're dealing with one at the moment where we're buying a property and someone's decided to build an extension over a right of way, has to come down, so they can't buy the property. Or there's a property which has been built over a public sewer. I've done one recently, and we knocked £50,000 off the price. That's a good result, isn't it? That's quite detailed, so it's quite a big chapter, that one. Then we talk about chapter 4, which talks about mortgages, everyone's favourite subject, but you can never get one. But hopefully things will change shortly. And the next one is my insider guide about insider tips. And I give 3 bits of advice about how you can make money on properties. I'm not going to tell you what they are, you need to get the book. But, hey, it's not for nothing here. And it talks to you about a number of different ideas, which a lot of ideas are from the US and Australia, but that have been adapted for this country. And there's some things on planning as well which you can do, and there's a few other things. So they're the insider tips. It's a very basic book, but it's also icon driven. So you have icons, so like you've got a question mark, you've got a thumbs up for examples, all that sort of thing. I made it almost idiot proof, so I'm sure everybody would like it. And that's it. I don't really know what else to say about it. It took me, it's basically about 85 pages long, and it didn't take that long to write, but of course, when you get anything published, you need to get it drafted, you need a publisher to go through it, and you need to get it rewritten by other people as well, just to make sure it's clean and easily understood. And that's it. Are there any questions? Can we take questions, Shirley?
Yeah.
Any questions?
How long did it take you to write?
How long it took about, on and off, about 2.5 months. Thank you for that. Yes?
Why would we need to buy that if we could just ring up you and ask you?
Well, that's true, but at some stage, even though you're all my friends, I will be charging you, and it'll be more than that. So, and also, you can ask the appropriate question. It's all about asking. Life is all about asking the right questions, actually. And if you ask the solicitor the wrong question, you won't really find out what's going on. So basically, you ask me the right question, I give you an answer just like that. But the book will direct you. Thank you. Was that answer to your question?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Do you discuss
Hello.
about commercial property?
Excuse me?
Do you discuss in your book about commercial property?
Commercial property. Commercial property is very, very. It's much harder to deal with. I mean, a lot of the inquiries are common to both, but commercial property has a lot of extra elements to it, which maybe the 3rd edition of the book may have that. That's a good point, actually, and I might do about commercial property, but get the book anyway, and any question you can always ask me. All right? Sorry, yes.
What distinguishes your book from the other books about buying property that are out there already?
Well, look, you either get 2 types of books, right? You either get a practitioner's guide, which you've got to be a practitioner. So, unfortunately, the way we work in this world is you start learning more and more about less and less. So you can get a practitioner's guide, you go in great detail on one subject. It doesn't really help you. It doesn't really help you if you want to buy. You don't really know the context. I mean, if you get a book on, you can get a whole book on easements, that thing. I mean, what is it? You don't even know if what you're looking for. This will just tell you, bullet point, what you need to look for, and if you need to ask any questions, you can ask your solicitor. Ask me. It doesn't replace your solicitor, not yet, but it basically gives you a clear indication, like a map, a roadway, a pathway. Yes?
Mark, you said the book's only 85 pages. I'm assuming there's going to be like a series of books.
Well, if you want to buy the next series of books, you can. There might be a book on another subject, or there might be one on probate as well, where I might integrate it together. But 85 pages is enough for you just to dip in, get what you need to know, and get out. The fact is, if I had to do a complete book for the whole property process, it'd be about 500 pages. It'd be more like a practitioner's guide. Nobody would buy it. The thing is, sometimes you just need very bullet point information, or just to know what to look for. Then with that, you can then go to your solicitor, which is what they're there for. Yes?
How much is it?
How much is it? Well,
Is that or a
well, it's £10, but tonight it's only £5. £1 for every chapter, special promotion. All right? You can't be bad, eh? Yes, it's the price of a pint, you know. Well, in this place, it's the price of a soft drink. And they get you a lot further. Any other questions?
How easy is it for people to do their own conveyance?
Are you asking?
A lot of people say, obviously it is something that people can do.
Well, look, you can do anything you want in life. You can build your own house. You can do anything you want. The fact is, it's time and motion. If you were to look through a title deed, and you won't actually know what's going on. It just be gobbledygook, because you need to have lawyers have a lot of residual knowledge, which unless you ask them, they won't come up with the answer. But when you ask a specific question, it comes up. We have a lot of residual knowledge that's there. Now, that residual knowledge only gets activated when you read something which activates it. Now, you could read that and it won't make any sense to you. Like this property that we're dealing with at the moment, somebody built over a right-of-way. They've got planning permission, they had no problem with that. But they built over a right-of-way over common land. It has to come down. They built 2 extensions, it has to come down. Now, if you don't understand the context, you don't have any residual knowledge on your background, things don't make any sense to you. And the thing is, you can read a quick guide on property, but you don't really understand it. You do need the 8 years of study to actually build up that knowledge.
You're referring to buy-to-let property in there as well?
Well, buy-to-let property is exactly the same. When you buy a buy-to-let property, it's exactly the same way as buying a normal property, just the mortgage is different.
And the tax issues? And
the tax issues. Yes, now why would you say that question? Is it because you're an accountant?
No.
Do you want to be a contributing writer on this book? Because I'm doing an expanded version of this. Yeah, and you can add a chapter on that if you want. Yeah, I can do that. Any other questions?
You buy the book online?
You can buy it online from my website, but it's a tenner. I don't mind. You can buy it online and give me more money. It doesn't. Yeah, you can buy it online as well. It's not a problem. You get a commission. If you sell it for £15, I'll give you a £5 commission. Good question. Any more questions? Yes.
Mark, your book is obviously about property. My question is, where do you think you get your expertise, your Jedi Master, your guru-like status?
Oh, thank you so much.
About
So much
property?
praise. Thank you. Where do I get it from?
Yeah.
Well, because I've been a property lawyer for nearly 2 decades. God, I'm giving my age away there. Don't ask. I used to work for NatWest as an in-house lawyer, and I used to buy and sell shopping centres. You can't get anything more vexed and complex as a shopping centre, where you've got commercial, you've got residential bits to it, you've got common parts, you've got all sorts of bits and bobs, which you don't get in any of this. So I used to do that. I used to do heavyweight stuff like that. Plus, I buy my own properties as well. You've always got to talk to people that do it themselves. I'm not a theoretician. I do buy my own properties. I do convert them. That's what I do. So I walk the talk, basically. Any other questions? Has that answered your question? Sorry.
It's very good. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thumbs up.
Any more questions?
How many properties do you currently own?
Oh, I'll tell you later. Any more questions?
I'd just like to say it's my privilege to be your publisher, Mark, and I would like to congratulate you on an excellent title.
Thank you.
And wish you every possible success.
Thank you very much. Thank you.